Is it ever coming back? Well, my mother always says, it ain't over till the fat lady sings. And Jane, I haven't sang yet, so, I don't know. I mean.
Housewives propelled D'Andra onto a national stage that she's now using for her love of food.
I've been to a lot of parties at your house, and you always have the best food, and you all cook it. You always cook it all yourself. How did you go from that to saying, I want to do something actually in the culinary world?
This is what I love and what makes me happy. And when we talk about self-love, the most happy thing I can do is, I don't care how difficult my day has been, I will come home and I will get in there, I'll start chopping, and I'll think about what am I going to make for dinner. And that's my happy place and my happy time.
I think that's key, because I always tell people that when you think about self-love, the thing that you can do when nobody's watching and you do it just because you love it, that's authentic you. People look at you, you're beautiful, you have money, you're doing TV shows, you seem like you have it all. Have you struggled in your life with loving and valuing yourself?
Definitely. I've had some very dark times in my life. Growing up was difficult for me because my parents got divorced at a young age, and then my mother, of course, married Glenn Simmons, who raised me, who was a wonderful stepfather, but my father was an alcoholic, and I struggled with my weight because I was, going back and forth between, on the weekends, I'd see my dad, and I'd come back home, and it would just be very traumatic for me. And I also had a mother who was a beauty queen, 33 beauty pageant crowns, and was a model and had a successful business. And I was kind of like this dorky, nerdy kind of kid who was a straight A student.
Those insecurities culminated in an early relationship.
Where I had the most negative self-worth was in my relationships. I didn't feel good enough. I didn't feel pretty enough. I didn't feel loved enough, and I couldn't do, what could I do to be loved more or liked more or cherished more? And that's how I got into a relationship with someone who was, actually we met at church, believe it or not. I mean, of all things, our families were friends. He became very violent and aggressive, and I let it go on too long to where I almost died. I think I shared with you, I have chronic pain. Chronic pain is from being thrown against doors and windows, and my skull cracking and my neck problems now. So I deal with that every day of my life.
For a woman who's watching and hearing you tell that story of being in an abusive marriage and relationship, and maybe a woman is watching and she's in her own dark place, how did you get from there to here?
I focused on, at that time, I learned about my meditation practices. I started doing, I think, a yoga practice. I went to counseling, a lot of counseling.
I know that you have a lot of faith. And one of the things that I have found that's been very helpful to me is that the closer I have gotten to God and the closer I walk with God, the more I realize I'm His creation, or her creation, whatever God is. And so therefore, I am valuable and lovable.
We are, and I've watched your journey, by the way. I've seen your transformation over the past few years. That's the thing, we're all created in God's image. So if God created us this way, then we are perfect in His eyes. So what does it matter what anybody else thinks? The only person you should be worried about is God. What does God think about you? And what does God value and cherish in you? And if He values and cherishes you and loves you and thought enough to create you, then, what everybody else thinks doesn't matter. I mean, of course it matters what my husband thinks, because, I want a good marriage, or, I want to be good to my friends and my employees, and I want my mother and I, we have a difficult relationship sometimes, but I love my mother, but at the same time, the most important thing is God.
If we're just talking about fun, just fun for D'Andra, that's self-indulgence or whatever, what's that?
I'll go anywhere in the world to eat a good meal. I love traveling. I want to spend time with women that are implementing change.
I think about this a lot at my age. I'm older than you. I think about what I want the last third of my life to look like. What do I want to do with that time I have? When you think about the last part of your life, what do you want to do?
The same thing when I was 4. I still want to act. I still want to, I've never changed my view on that. I guess when I was 4, I knew that I saw the writing on the wall, this ain't going to change, I still want to do that. I still want to pursue it because I love it. I enjoy it. I want to write a cookbook. I've written it, but I want to get it published. That's something I want to do. I'm producing. I love that. I'm excited about it. I am acting in some of those and hosting in some of those. Telling amazing stories that people have not told, that are people's journeys like I've been on and different people have been on that you wouldn't know about. That's exciting to me. I need to keep doing it, right?
That's what I love.
On the right path.
That's what I love, is telling stories about women like you.
Until I'm pushing up daisies, I need to keep going.